The current annual general meeting season has once again highlighted just how out of touch with reality executive pay has become. Big bonuses are being paid even when shareholders have suffered big losses, and for some who follow corporate governance closely, it's time for radical action to rein in the excess. Andrew Robertson reports.
Shareholders largely turned a blind eye to executive pay when the economy was booming, but it's not booming now, and a string of high protest votes against this year's remuneration reports reveals many shareholders have had enough.
We're presently seeing results of companies where executives are getting paid substantial bonuses for loss-making ventures and questionable business strategies where shareholders are actually losing a lot of money.
BlueScope Steel and One Steel are two examples of companies continuing to pay big bonuses as shareholders have suffered big losses. Others, such as Commonwealth Bank, Wesfarmers and QR National, reset missed bonus targets to make them easier. The big question is how to stop that seemingly unjustified transfer of wealth from shareholders to management.
We find that in France and Germany and in Japan, people run big, complex organisations for far less money than Americans and Australians and the English increasingly pay themselves.
Professor Jack Gray from the Centre for Market Dysfunctionality at the University of Technology in Sydney believes the reason executives in Australia are so highly paid is that there's no genuine market for their services.
Markets work best when both sides, sellers and buyers, have equal information and equal power. And here is a case where the information is only one-sided and the power is only one-sided because shareholders are too diffuse.
Which for Professor Gray means in Australia all the power rests with people such as remuneration consultants, directors and the executives themselves, who all have a vested interest in pay being as high as possible. He also looks to non-English speaking countries for examples of how it can be done better, such as Germany.
They have a board of directors and a supervisory board that is largely made up of union and employee representatives, and compensation has to go through them.
That's limited the average pay packet of CEOs in Germany to around 40 times average weekly earnings. The Australia Institute's Richard Dennis believes the tax system could be used to put a brake on executive largesse. He believes there should be an upper limit on the tax deductibility of salaries, and anything over that should be regarded as a gift.
What we want to do there is force boards to ask themselves why are we paying so much, and force boards to explain to shareholders why they might be willing to agree to payments that are over a threshold which renders them no longer tax-deductible business expenses.
He'd also like to see the abolition of the 50% capital gains tax concession because he believes it encourages excessive share-based payments. Big companies are increasingly looking at offshoring to try to lower their wage costs, with Qantas's planned new Asian airlines a case in point. However, the University of Technology's Professor Jack Gray wonders why it's only jobs at the lower end of the pecking order that are being sent to cheaper countries.
How about we say executive salaries in Australia are too high, we are going to move the whole of Qantas's operation, executive operation, to Germany or India, and there we will not get any lower quality. In fact, we'll probably increase the quality and it'll be at a tenth of the cost.
Failing that, Professor Gray thinks it's time for boards to stand up for their shareholders and instead of trying to hang on to executives at any cost, be prepared to let them leave if they're not happy with their remuneration.